Hello and welcome to Group 6's presentation, CRM Processes and Systems, how CRMs have enabled personalized experiences and the privacy concerns that has created. This is presented by Tim Massoff, myself, Piero Rocca, and Brendan Moran. So what is CRM? It's managing interactions with existing and prospective customers to nurture and grow those customers into valuable customers. And the terminology is commonly referred to the technology that manages sales, like Salesforce automation, marketing communication, and customer service. And it's a massive market, CRM. In 2017, the market had $39.5 billion in revenue, and that's forecasted to grow to $82 billion by 2025. And leaders in this space include Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics 365, Sage CRM, SugarCell, which is an open source CRM, and Oracle NetSuite. And CRM's value is especially important in this digital world where there are no physical interactions when you're shopping online, for example, or getting service through a retailer's website. So CRM can provide sales very valuable access to customer information at the right time, that historical transactional data and information about that consumer. It provides customer support, information needed to provide excellent customer service, such as their past history, do they have any open tickets, the details of those tickets, and it helps marketing tailor and target marketing campaigns through having profiles and understanding who your customers are and having the right segmentations for those consumers. And CRM does enable better segmentation, as I talked about. And there are different types of segmentation, but CRM facilitates the capture and analysis of that customer data. And there are studies that show customer segmentation increases customer satisfaction and profit, so it's very important. One type of segmentation is called psychographic segmentation, and it uses people's lifestyles, their activities, opinions, and interests to create a profile, a very rich profile about them. And there was a study that was done that did this segmentation based on psychographics, and it was able to identify one group that had a 56% intent to purchase, and then another group that had a very low 10% intent to purchase. So having that kind of information can help a marketer really determine the right actions to take for those particular groups. So CRM versus ERP, there's overlaps, and how do these things work together? Well, ERP systems really excel at finance and factory planning, so that financial accounting, the general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, it's really focused on what needs to get done. Building that product, the manufacturing, the supply chain, the logistics. CRM, on the other hand, really excels at Salesforce and marketing automation. It's really focused on the possible. You can think of these two things as back office versus front office focus. Now, why would you have a CRM and an ERP system? Well, generally a CRM system, they're just better at doing that front office stuff. So some companies will do that hybrid approach. But as a rule, even if the CRM and the ERP come from the same manufacturer, they can contain separate databases. And that creates an operational challenge of making sure that the data is consistent. So data consistency is a risk to the business. You could imagine having a different reality of a particular customer or double invoicing a customer. Those are problematic. So how do you manage the risk? There was a study that was done, and it found the biggest risk to a business is financial liquidity, running out of liquid cash in order to pay the bills and keep the lights on. So the focus really should be on having ERP manage anything that has to do with financial obligations or revenue in order to preserve that cash flow and making sure that the company's lights stay on. And synchronization of data should happen from the ERP to the CRM in order to make sure that this ERP and that financial data is the source of truth. Now not only do you have the challenges with the databases, you have to have these two systems talk to each other. And that's really, in this world that we live in today, solved by web-based middleware. So this could be service-oriented architecture or REST-based services that allow you to have any sort of database that you want. You can have any technical stack that you want. Your data centers can be installed anywhere, and changes to either system are really abstracted by the APIs that are in between them. So in essence, middleware design principles, in order to make these things work, follow independence of the CRM and ERP, configurable data integration structures. It provides integration templates for different CRM and ERP databases or application servers. And the last one, really important, is if one of these systems goes down or there's a loss of connectivity, there isn't a loss of data through failure detection and using local cache where that information is stored locally until the availability of the systems is back up. Now, at a high level, we can subdivide CRM into really two broad groups, operational and analytical CRM. An operational CRM is characterized by activities a company has to do to make customers more valuable, whereas analytical CRM is characterized by things that a company has to know about their customer to increase their value. So it's the doing versus the analyzing and knowing and predicting the future. So combining these two things really is the culmination of doing the right action at the right time. And there's research that identifies the different things that you can do, the actions that you can take based on this rich data. You can recommend products or services using a recommender system, similar to what Amazon does and many retailers. It can present information to the user at the right time, such as ad links, targeted content. It can inform a user through the preferred communication channel, such as newsletters, emails, social media, text messages, and promotions. It could be sending a product to the customer, such as a free gift or a product sample or a free trial of a product. It could be subscribing the customer for a service, such as reports, newsletters, some sort of cloud-based service. It could be an offering to a different type of loyalty program. And it could be connecting the consumer to a service representative or a specialist or other customers at that right time. So for example, if there was an error or they left something in their cart and just something happened, maybe there's a way to create that connection point. So we live in a digital world. We're connected 24/7. We have multiple devices and we're always on the go. And those personal interactions aren't happening the way they used to. And web personalization is incredibly important, not only because of that dynamic change, but because there's so much more rich information available based on our digital interactions. So web personalization is the process of individualized matching to consumer preferences through automated processes in the web environment. And I'm going to give you a real world example here. My Amazon, when I log in, on the left, knows that I'm a Beck fan, so it's provided me with a particular recommendation. Here it's an exclusive Beck album or song. It's telling me about a product that I've recently ordered and that's on the way and that's arriving today. Other products that I've recently viewed, a video recommendation for the Amazon Prime service, as well as other products that I might be interested in based on my history, wish list, and other rich data that they have on me. Whereas on the right, we have a generic type of landing page where it really doesn't resonate to me. It doesn't know anything about me, and my attachment to that page is going to be a lot lower than the one on the left. So what is the result of personalization in CRM? We have studies that indicate less customer churn and higher trust, but there is a risk of over-personalization, and that can lead to breaking of that trust. And that loss of trust can really be just a timing issue where the right message at the wrong time, or it's gone a little bit too far, bordering on creepy, where it raises concerns about privacy. And this is where my colleagues are going to take it over and talk about the privacy versus personalization debate and the effectiveness of personalization.
So what I'm going to be discussing is more of a general overview of personalization. Like, how is it that companies can offer personalized experiences to their customers, why they do so, and some of the other cool, interesting things that we read about while researching this topic. So what is personalization? In a nutshell, it's the act of tailoring a product and service to a customer based on collected data and information about that customer's preferences. It's with the act of trying to help them find the right product that they need at that exact time. So there's a couple of distinctions that we need to make about personalization. It's not as something simple as just printing their first name on a coffee mug and then thinking that that's the personalized experience. No, rather it's more about trying to understand what makes them tick, how they function, trying to understand their daily lives as an individual. That's why I use the analogy of a personal trainer in this case. Someone that can help that person exercise based off of their own the way they work out. So here's an example of a couple popular companies utilizing personalized services. The two most popular ones are Netflix and Amazon. Netflix is a recommended videos service, and Amazon's recommended items to buy. For instance, if I buy a French press, Amazon will recommend different items that I can buy in conjunction with that, based off of similar customers also buying that French press. So why bother doing this? Well, in short, it's becoming the standard of e-commerce nowadays. 63% of customers are more likely to register at a website that tailors content, and 50% of customers actually prefer buying recommended products online recommended to them. And the interesting thing is that a fifth of those customers are actually willing to pay premium for those services. So there definitely is a great opportunity for businesses to take advantage of this technology to increase their revenue and generate more sales, which, as we can see here, are just a couple of examples of some tangible benefits that personalized services can provide. In 2018, companies that have adopted a partial or advanced personalization strategy have almost doubled their revenue in 2018, which of course leads to increased lead generation and cross-selling, as more customers are more likely to respond to personalized services and sales pitches based off of their own interests. And some of the intangible benefits of this technology is that customers not only are more likely to respond to the sales pitch, but more importantly, they can better understand the content. So perhaps that could be because, well, when there's a personalized message tailored to them, the customer feels like they're an individual. They feel more engaged in the conversation. They're not just seen as another customer just trying to sell a product to somebody. So how exactly does personalization work? There are two main concepts that come into play when we talk about this technology. The first one is user rules-based matching. And it's actually pretty simple if you think about it. If I, as a person, have specific interests, for example, sports and food, the technology will try to offer related topics based off of my preference. The key, though, is that it will offer topics that offer recommendations for things that I haven't seen yet, to help increase buying more things and cross-selling. It's when we get to collaborative filtering on the other hand, which is where we get to the real interesting stuff. This will not only look at my personal preferences, but also the preferences of people who fit my same demographic, age, gender, location, etc. And the real kicker is that if they can find people who share those preferences, the technology will try to recommend products based off of that shared user profile. So that's the really interesting idea of this technology. And what we have over here is more of a formal methodology of how it works. You can see that up here it moves up a process of trying to understand the customer, using data analysis to build a profile, and then eventually delivering personalized content or products, and then more importantly, going through this constant feedback loop to help measure the impact of that personalization, with constantly trying to optimize its processes to become more accurate and deliver more tailored content to basically increase its accuracy. And here we have here's just a little breakdown of the evolution of personalized services, how it moved from primarily physical means in the 80s, and then eventually taking advantage of the internet's entering the public world in the 90s and 2000s. More about trying to help make the purchasing process as easy as possible for customers to buy things online. And in the 2000s, we actually led to the recommender systems, which is where we see Amazon and Netflix use nowadays, and then seeing them trying to constantly refine their algorithms as we get into the 2010s with big data and data mining. So one of the interesting things about this is that whereas back in the day, recommender systems were very powerful to use, but they have limitations. Back in the 2000s, they were very intra-site dependent. In other words, Amazon can analyze the actions of their customers, but only within Amazon.com. So that's the key right there. And that's where concepts like big data and data mining can help mitigate that challenge, because now they can help shape that customer profile using a variety of different sources. However, of course, along with that, that also comes with some interesting, changes in regulatory standards, a la GDPR and CCPA, as when we talk about privacy, which we'll get to later in this presentation. So, what does the future look like? Well, there's a big emphasis on all the key buzzwords you hear nowadays on machine learning and AI software. Specifically, about one of the interesting things that you'd see with the future outlook at personalized technologies is machine reading software and NLP, natural language processing. This is more specific to chatbots. So whenever you're a customer and you want to talk to a customer service representative, you can actually chat with a robot to help them try and answer your concerns. The interesting thing about that is that the way this technology is evolving nowadays is that the chatbot can now not only understand your written text, but it can also understand the context of what you're asking, like why you're asking that specific question. And that's the really interesting part when you try to replicate human conversation as much as possible, which can eventually lead to cost savings as you no longer need to hire costly human customer service representatives. And another future outlook is, well, the algorithms get more sophisticated. One interesting thing I found recently was that Amazon Echo can actually tell if you're sick based off the tone of your voice and your nasal congestion. And Amazon has actually developed a product to help improve to help increase the functionality of Echo called Dr. AI, which essentially just replicates the face-to-face interaction you'd have with the doctor. So that's just a couple pretty interesting things that's happening in the future. So that's great. Personalization has a lot of benefits, to tangible benefits, intangible, etc. However, there are a couple downsides. Firstly, it's pretty costly to run that type of technology. Also, in regards to research, researchers aren't exactly quite sure what parts of the personalized message cause the intended effects. What I mean by that is, just because the personalized technology works doesn't exactly mean that customers will feel that it's tailored to them. So, in other words, it's more just about trying to see how it is a lot of emphasis, or researchers are trying to better understand, trying to fine-tune the specific concepts of personalized technology to refine those and try to emphasize those more. Thirdly, well, personalization technology must be accurate. There's nothing worse than getting bombarded with a whole bunch of unnecessary advertisements that you didn't even want. It must be accurate for it to work properly. And lastly, which we'll cover in the remainder of this presentation, is the privacy debate, which we will get into next.
So in this section, we're going to be talking about how, first of all, an example of how well personalization works. We're going to be talking about the privacy concerns related to CRM, and also the dark side of CRM. First of all, an applicable case that can relate to CRM personalization strategy in practice involves the global airline American Airlines. And the challenge and goal for American Airlines was to create an intimate feel for customers and increase customer loyalty and satisfaction. And they ultimately chose to personalize their website information by airport location and individual purchasing habits. And under this strategy, the system remembered the registered user's preferred airport and automatically entered it into the reservation system. It also organized fares and discounts by the airport location, and presenting only relevant information based on the customer's chosen departure location. However, there was a flaw with this strategy, because customers who resided near obscure airports were provided with little or no options for discounts. And so the solution to that was to set up customization to display discounts in surrounding areas in addition to the client's specific locale in order to provide each customer with an opportunity to capitalize on a deal. Another personalization detail within the strategy focused on anticipating relevant intent. American Airlines personalization application would look at a customer's current status, whether they were flying or had an upcoming flight, or they had just landed. And in addition, the application would factor in event-based information, such as whether if the flight was on time, or if it had been rebooked, or if some of the bags had been lost. Anticipating relevant intent allowed American Airlines to offer specific customer service in a timely fashion. And ultimately, because of the way they were able to personalize their site based on the consumer, they were able to generate 25%, an increase in 25% of their revenue, and travelers were also booking at a rate of 60% faster. As I touched on earlier, the next topic is going to be mainly focused on privacy concerns, and one potential pitfall to personalization within CRM pertains to consumer privacy. With an increase in personal information being gathered, there will inevitably be privacy concerns. And over the years, personalization algorithms have been constantly improving, making behavioral profiling more accurate and powerful. Behavioral profiles are created and based on a variety of different consumer activities, including the sites they've visited, products they've purchased, product pages they've viewed, emails they've sent, etc. And the majority of behavioral profiling systems track users over long periods of time using browser cookies. So several potential risks that are associated with collecting some of this detailed information is that the data collection is invisible to the user, and there's always the risk of it falling into undesired third-party hands. Additionally, there's the risk of personal information being inadvertently revealed to other users on the same computer or over the same server, and also just the general notion of being watched and tracked is a disturbing thought for many people. So user attitudes toward behavioral profiling were studied in several surveys, and the results found that only 28% would feel comfortable with advertisers using their web browsing history, and 35% believe their privacy has been invaded during the past year due to certain personal information that was divulged over the internet. In another study related to consumer power and privacy, consumers were placed into one of four categories within a privacy grid. They were either in the sleeper category, the silent majority, partners, or activists. And the sleepers can be viewed as generally negative in their attitude toward marketing, and they have a low level of trust in business operations. In addition, they have little awareness of CRM tools and the nature of e-business. In comparison to sleepers, the silent majority have similar low knowledge but higher trust and a more positive attitude toward business. They will be more cautious about giving out their personal information, but ultimately they'll provide it if they feel it's of personal benefit. The partners are highly knowledgeable, trusting, and maintain a positive attitude towards CRM. they're most likely to believe in the benefits of relaying their personal information to a business. And then lastly, the activists are highly aware and knowledgeable of CRM's impact on privacy, but they maintain a more negative attitude and lower trust in an organization. They understand the opportunities for privacy abuse, and they don't believe in a business's positive intentions and claims of consumer benefits. So given these four consumer segments, there are several challenges that present themselves within a personalized CRM strategy. The first challenge is to ensure that the poorly informed, aka the sleepers and the silent majority, are not influenced by the activists in demanding protection from information gathering. And the second challenge is the company's ability to retain the sophisticated consumers who are the partners and the activists, because purchasing power is moving away from the organizations and more toward the consumer. So consumers are more knowledgeable in this day and age, and therefore it's very important to retain that power. So ultimately, the consumer reaction to privacy concerns becomes critical in achieving success within a CRM model. There are several privacy guidelines that every company should adhere to. The first one is customer awareness, and so no anonymous data collection should be gathered without letting the customer know. Secondly, choice and consent is a basic privacy requirement. Companies must understand that individual privacy differences exist, and relationship building develops over time. There should be honesty about what to expect from the information exchange, along with full disclosure of the intended benefits. Thirdly, information quality and integrity is vital. This segment to make sure, by being assured and detailed on why the interaction is necessary and how it benefits them specifically, the majority of individuals will not object. Fourth, the company should enforce regulation through active privacy policies. These policies should provide clear-cut guidelines as to what a consumer should expect and show the reliability and trustworthiness of its CRM model. In addition to concerns over privacy, there are other potential pitfalls associated with a personalized CRM model, such as differential treatment and consumer exploitation within buyer-seller relationships. For example, Amazon's test of dynamic pricing turned into a public relation nightmare. They were revealed to be selling the same DVD movies for different prices to different consumers. And so the idea that technology can take a similar or the same product and customize it based on the individual can certainly be a questionable practice. Research suggests that the inequality, favoritism, and differential treatment of customers may cause perceptions of unfairness, which may lead to buyers opting out of relationships, spreading negative information about the company, or engaging in behavior that may damage the company's reputation. So incorporating a certain level of fairness and trust with the customer is crucial. And with the increase in use of social media and mobile tech by consumers, companies can capitalize by working to improve their image, create more interaction, and enhance relationships through promotions and other activities. This helps enhance the customer-company relationship, improves communication, and builds trust in a subtle way. In addition, it is much easier for consumers to spread the word if they experience a positive interaction.